Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, Super Mario Run, Pokemon Sun and Moon, the Switch software lineup, and our fantasy picks for an NES Classic Edition Volume 2. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers. Joining me, as always, is Mark Mitchell.
Well, I mean, it is true. The listeners obviously can't see it, but you and I are joined at the hip.
Right, yes. Yeah. When I say always, I don't mean just for this show. I mean for always. That we spend no time apart. Mark and I went to Six Flags this weekend.
That's true, we did. That's a true thing.
That's a true thing that actually happened. Mark, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm interested in how you are because I've realized that I usually bogart this segment where I'm like, here's like an anecdote about my life.
But we always start this off by you asking me how I'm doing.
Uh-huh.
And then I guess I just shoot it right back to you where I'm like, I don't know. How about you, Mark? I'm doing well. I have a little bit of Pokemon brain right now.
What does that mean?
It means that I played too much of it yesterday.
Okay.
So it's resting in my head now, and when I'm trying to do like other work, I'm thinking about why that stupid Pichu won't evolve. Because we're not good enough friends, it turns out.
Well, I mean,
we'll get into it in a second. We got to get to the weather.
We
got to talk about the weather.
We have to talk about the weather. It was rainy yesterday.
It was
consistently rainy.
Rained a lot.
Like
that. For people not in LA, that means like an inch.
Right.
It means it rained like an inch.
Yeah.
And it's nice and chilly now. I'm appreciating that.
It's great.
Yeah.
I mean, as frequent listeners of the show now, I'm watching my boyfriend's dog right now.
That's right.
And he did not want to poop because it was raining.
This is your boyfriend's dog and not your boyfriend.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. He did not want to poop because it was raining.
Right.
And so I was just standing out there in the rain, waiting for him to do something he did not want to do. So eventually I gave up. But it means that my kitchen last night smelled like wet dog and dog farts.
Oh no.
It was, yeah.
I was imagining that story was going to end with an appearance by dog poop. Like in the house.
No, he's a good boy.
I see. He's still dropping little dog farts though.
Well, but who could blame him?
I guess that's fair. If I was a dog, I would be dog farting.
Yeah, especially when he wasn't able to go to the bathroom. Weather is a nice change.
Right.
Weather's a nice change.
So let's get into it. What have we been playing? We've been playing the Pokemon Sun and Moon.
Yeah.
I've been playing Pokemon Sun.
I've been playing Pokemon Moon.
There you go.
It took me a moment to realize where that was going.
Yeah. So where let's establish where we are, because we at first thought like maybe we should do a full conversation about Sun and Moon today. But we're probably not deep enough into it to really have a proper conversation about it.
Yeah. I mean, I've put in about 6 hours.
Okay.
And I just finished the first trial, and I'm on like Route 3.
Isn't it kind of crazy that like you're 6 hours into the game and you've finished the first trial? Like it takes that long to get there. I'm about 10 hours in.
Oh, okay.
And I am newly on the second island.
Oh, okay.
But it's amazing how much kind of just time the game eats up. I've found it to be a very good like just 5 more minutes kind of game.
Oh yeah.
Like when it's on after every fight, I'm just like, oh yeah, okay, I can just like you show just little bits of improvement everywhere.
Well, before I started playing it,
yeah.
I think we had talked about it maybe even on this podcast a little bit, where it was like, I don't think I'm going to go for the whole gotta catch them all thing.
Yeah.
And I still don't want to catch them all because that just seems like an insane amount of time.
You want to catch them some, though.
I want to catch a significant amount of them, I am learning.
Yeah.
Because Yeah, I think the reason why it's taken me, I think I could be much further in the game at 6 hours than I am, and I think it's because have spent a lot of time like trying to just like fill up my Pokedex.
But I mean, me too. That's
right.
I feel like I am also moving slowly through the game, but it's because like anytime I take a second where I'm like, oh, I encountered something that I haven't seen before, like I want to catch it, and or like you're kind of grinding at the same time and like gaining levels, and I feel like the Pokemon, and I'm just realizing this like as I'm playing this game this weekend, is so good at congratulating you for the accomplishments that like you the player are actually doing. Like in the game they're excited for you because your Pokemon are getting stronger and because you're finding more Pokemon. And like I can't think of another game like that where the characters in the game are like telling you you're doing a good job at what you're doing, you know? Like it's neat when they're like, "Oh, your Trumbeak's really powerful." I'm like, "Yeah, he's awesome."
I do feel way over leveled.
Yeah. Yes.
Like the first trial, and I'm sure it'll get more difficult.
Yeah.
But the first trial, there has not been a battle yet where it has been close or where I've had to pull out anybody but my starter.
Because so are you like just like starter in every fight?
I was mixing it up.
Is he a Dartrix yet?
He is, yeah. Okay. Yeah. He's level 20. And my other Pokemon, because now they have the experience share.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so they are all around like 16 or something. So I just feel like super. Hasn't been a fight where it has been a struggle or like where I've had to like use tactics at all at this point.
Yeah. And you're early enough, and also not in a place where you're fighting really any fire type.
Right.
Because let me tell you, anytime Hau pulls out his Rowlet, I waste it with my Fire Kitty by shooting one ember at it, and it falls over. I have, by the way, named my Litten. I've named him Good Kitty, which I find to be adorable. Is that when the character is like, "Good job, Good Kitty." It makes me very happy.
I've been leaving all of mine are just like the default names, and even when I occasionally am trying to get through the menus too fast, and it's like, "Do you want to nickname your Pokemon?" I accidentally click yes.
Right.
I just type in their old names again.
If you just push enter without putting any name in there, it'll.
Oh, what a time saver! That's so good to know.
Now you know for the future.
So this is like the first Pokemon game that I've really dug into in years.
This for me is the first since Red and Blue.
Yeah, I'm not even sure. I think maybe one of the remakes on the DS.
Okay.
But I'm really impressed with like it's a very like good looking game.
It's a very good looking game.
The music is nice.
I mean, maybe we should save some of this for our like in-depth conversation, but the music in the game and just like the aesthetic of the game like hits me right in the heart.
Sure.
It makes me feel homesick.
Well, you spent time in Hawaii, right?
Yeah,
you lived in Hawaii.
I lived there for like 5.5 months. So like I never know whether to say like I lived there or I spent time there, but like I had a job and an address and took care of a dog. I felt like I lived there.
Yeah, that okay. Sounds pretty official. The presentation's great. Like there are some weird things about it. Like occasionally there just won't be an animation for something and your screen will fade to black and then fade back in.
Yeah,
like it's
that
like,
does happen.
Like you're in like the first trial and there's a part where your character kneels down to crawl through like a tunnel and it's like, oh, we don't have an animation for that. So you kneel down. Yeah, so you like kneel down, it fades to black, and then it fades back in and you're just like on the other side of the tunnel.
Right.
So there's like weird presentational things like that.
Or sometimes they don't have any animation for Lily's Pokemon, whatever it's called, getting in or out of that bag.
Right.
And it happens so much. Like, guys, animate that one.
Yeah, like
it's that one you can skip.
So there's like weird little things like that where I'm like, oh, that's interesting. But and whenever they So most of the other like NPCs in the game, they have some sort of like animation. Like, and so occasionally they'll do close-ups of like the Skull Kids, like or
Skull Team.
Skull Team, yeah. Like they'll do like close-ups of them, and they're like moving and they're like active,
right?
And then like it'll go cut to like a close-up of your face, and it's just like blank. There's zero expression, zero animation. You're just like it's just like with like a dead stare in your eyes.
Let me ask you: have you gotten to the point where you are buying clothes for?
Yeah. I bought clothes
for your trainer.
I couldn't. I got like the contact case, but I don't. My eye color is still like the default one.
You have to go to the barber shop.
I went to the barber shop and I got my hair cutting.
But they didn't offer to let you change your contacts?
No,
I think that's where I did it.
Do you have to talk to somebody else? Like,
maybe.
Because I just went up to the main desk in the haircutting place, and they're like, "Oh, this is a very minor annoyance, but it's like, oh, do you want your like hair styled and cut?" And you're like, "Yeah," and they're like, "It's like 10,000,
right?
Whatever the currency is." So you pay it, 10,000 monies, and then you pay it, and then it's like It's
like a description.
It's like a very vague description.
Yeah.
And of colors and stuff, where it's like, what color do you want? And then it just lists a bunch of colors, but you don't actually get to see it. So I just guessed.
Yeah.
And then you have to, if you don't like it, you just have to pay again.
Well, and like the default like settings on everything else, you don't even see it because you wear a hat all the time.
Right. Yeah.
I have since gotten rid of the hat because I like the hairstyle that I ended up going with.
Oh, which one did you end up going with?
I think it's like modern.
Oh, right. Something. Whatever it's called. Yeah.
Yeah. But hold on. I'm just pulling it up right now so you can see. This is there's my ID. I'm wearing pink glasses, and a black tank top.
You look very trendy.
Thank you. I am. And I'm wearing pink capris. He looks great. I love him.
I think I figured out, and this is not just Pokemon related, but I think I figured out how you're supposed to share photos from that you like take on your 3DS.
How?
With your SD card. I think you save it to your SD
what?
card. And you're supposed to take
That's
your SD
insane.
card out of your 3DS and put it into like your computer or something. I think that's how it was. How the 3DS is intended. Like, when they're like share your photos, I think that's the only way you can do it.
Do you know how you take the SD card out of the new 3DS?
Do you have to like take out the battery or something?
Yeah, you need to like crack the thing open. You need like a lobster claw cracker to open it up, and then you need jeweler's
that
tools.
doesn't sound right.
Oh,
that doesn't sound right.
I mean, who has the new 3DS, huh? It's me. Yeah, so we'll have more in-depth conversation about this game next week, and hopefully we'll be able to speak from the perspective of I'm maybe not having beaten it. I don't know.
I mean, just honestly, I can't imagine I have the time to beat it.
Yeah.
Unless it's 8 hours long and I'm 6th of the hour, like.
From 10 hours into the game, let me tell you, it is not 8 hours long.
Yeah. But suffice it to say, I'm really enjoying it.
Me too. More even than I thought I was going to.
100%.
And you and I were like kind of excited.
Yeah.
Coming into this, I feel like that excitement is totally warranted. I had a friend ask me, someone who doesn't play Pokemon, if like this is a type of game that they would be interested in. And without like getting into this person's gaming preferences, like, yeah, I think this is a game that like anyone could have a fun time playing.
Yeah, I agree, and I think people who have played a lot of RPGs, there's a lot to like in this game. Somebody who's brand new to an RPG, it's very
it's like as deep as you want it to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. Super impressed,
and more specific, in-depth, look-intuitiveness next week. Mark, let's go to the news.
Big news that dropped on Tuesday last week, on the day that our last episode was released.
I think we do such a good job.
We really
record
try.
Monday night and release sometimes still Monday night.
Yeah.
But Tuesday morning, we were too slow on this one.
No, we weren't too slow.
I think we could use a little Super Mario Run Sorry.
Super Mario Run release date was announced.
Mm-hmm.
December 15th. In like 100 and some odd countries.
151.
151 countries.
Mm-hmm.
Free to start, just like they said it was going to be. $9.99 for the full game.
Yeah.
$10.
Feels like a no-brainer to me.
Look, I 100% agree. Some people on the internet.
This internet, man, when are we going to get rid of it? All it does is complain about stuff.
Nothing but problems. They were like, oh, that's too much for a mobile game. Oh, Nintendo really, like shot itself in the foot on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree that I can't think of many other, like, there aren't mobile games that I want to pay $10 for, right? Like, just normally speaking. I like the idea that there is a game on iOS worth spending $10 on.
Yeah, I mean, look, I spent basically all of last episode bloviating about how Nintendo has to, like keep the value of their IPs. And this is a perfect example. It's like, if you're not going to pay $10 for a Mario game, I don't care if it's on your phone. If you're not going to pay $10 for a Mario game, then like, I don't know what to tell you. Nintendo's, like, it's such a valuable thing. And Nintendo, if they are serious about their strategy going forward, they're not going to drop this for like $5.
Yeah, well, and also, like, I don't know. I have such a hard time, like, wrapping my head around the complaint, like, why is it the fact that it's on the phone, why should that make it a less valuable game?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, and this is all assuming, which I genuinely think it will, that it'll be a full game that's worth $10. There's going to be 3 modes. There's, like, one where you kind of, like, build your own kingdom that gives you toads, and then you use like the toads in like other modes. Like, it's very
toad mode.
Yeah, toad mode.
Right. You get a little toad mode.
Yeah. Look, and there's no microtransactions, so it's like $10.
Mm-hmm.
All the content is yours. I think it's a good deal, and I think $10 is a good price.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it's I would have done as much as $20 without batting an eye. I mean, honestly, at $10, it's like it's not even really an expense.
No.
Like, I can understand someone saying like, oh, $60 if you're spending $60 on a game. Like, you're making some level of investment that like is non-ignorable. But at $10, like, come on.
Well, especially because so many mobile phone games are free to play, with heinous microtransactions.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who are complaining about paying $10 also complain about those games.
Right.
And so it's
you can't have it both ways.
You can't
the game
have it
has
both
to
ways.
cost something.
Yeah. So like you're either going to pay the $10 for a Mario game, and hopefully it'll be good, or like they have to use microtransactions to keep it, like to justify the investment. Yeah. Like, there's no real in between where it's like, sure, let's have them charge 99 cents, but I want the full game. Is just not a reasonable stance to take. Ugh, the internet.
Oh, they're the worst.
But speaking of loving the internet, Switch news.
Is that what we were doing?
No. Speaking of the internet, which I love now.
There we go. Comma loving it category.
Yeah. Man, we went from hearing nothing about the Switch.
Yes.
To now it's just like, people won't shut up about the Switch.
It's still people speaking in vagaries, though.
I don't know. I mean, like, nothing is, I guess, officially confirmed, because nothing will be confirmed until January. But these are some previous like sources who have shown with Switch that they pretty much know what they're talking about.
Sure.
Like, pretty much everything they've said has happened.
Okay, so we're gonna designate this portion of the news rumor zone roundup.
Rumor zone roundup.
Rumor rounds. Sounds around. It's the highway to the rumor zone. Right?
Exactly.
Okay. Lay 'em on me, Mark.
Well, we have all that set up, and this first one, not a rumor. This first one, actual news. EA says they're bringing, quote, one of their bigger games to Switch.
Okay.
We know it's not Mass Effect.
BioWare.
Yeah, BioWare. I'll cut you right off at the pass. BioWare has said, not Mass Effect.
Okay.
I think it's FIFA.
Sure. That seems like a pretty safe bet.
Yeah, that one, like, because I don't imagine EA is going to support, at least out of the gate, probably ever, like the Switch very much.
Mm-hmm.
And FIFA makes sense because it's huge worldwide. You know?
And like an obvious like multiplayer kind of thing too.
Like I think it's going to be a sports game, whatever it is, but I think it'll probably be FIFA. All that being said, now we can get into the rumors.
Okay. Highway to the rumors.
I know, it's not as exciting this time. Eurogamer, who pretty much knocked it out of the park with their last Switch, rumor, which was back in July at this point, I think. But they basically broke down, what the Switch was. Ugh.
Were we ever so
simpler
young?
times? They're reporting that a third version of Pokemon Sun and Moon has been in the works for a while, and it's going to be an HD version called Pokemon Stars. You know how they do this like third version, just like from the very beginning, there was Blue and Red, and then Yellow was released, and it has all the content of the first two games plus some. So the rumor is that Stars is going to be coming out,
and on a slightly improved piece of hardware, because Yellow was a Game Boy Color game. So I mean, this obviously the leap from 3DS to Switch is maybe a little bit bigger.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see how this will look, because the 3DS version does look good.
Yeah, I think it looks great, really.
There are times, again, like when it does close-ups of your like character, where you're like, oh, like the eyes are just super pixelated and stuff, like little things like that.
But you just need to put some stylish pink glasses on him.
Just put some stylish pink glasses on him.
Or you could get aviator glasses.
Will you double dip?
Oh.
Will you buy Pokemon Stars? Which I don't know if I said, but that's what it's rumored to be called.
I think you did, because I wanted to jump in and say Stars.
I don't get that reference.
It's a reference to Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. Nemesis is a like undead monster thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And he is tasked with hunting down stars, and the only thing it ever says in the game is just stars, because it's hunting you down.
Oh, I don't remember that.
It is burned into my memory, and so like anytime like the cable network stars, always in my head it's stars.
So that song from Les Mis is very
stars out in the darkness.
That's better than
a Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe.
Yeah, I agree. Will I double dip?
Yeah, will you double dip?
I think it depends on my experience with the rest of this game going forward.
Sure.
If I do feel the bug to catch them all, that would be the opportunity to do it, right?
Yeah.
Because there are some Pokemon that won't be in my version of this game.
That's true.
There are some that won't be in yours. So
the rumor was that it was originally planned to be launched in summer, which seems very soon. That just like 6 months, give or take, from the release of the original. It sounds like it got pushed back to like holiday, which makes more sense to me, like a full year.
Yeah.
But this is still super exciting. Like there was some question, really, because Game Freak had said we're making games, but Game Freak occasionally makes non-Pokemon games.
Right. Well, and also like a Pokemon game doesn't necessarily mean a mainline Pokemon game.
Also true.
It can mean Snap. It can mean Hey You Pikachu. It can mean a mystery dungeon.
And there's never been a full Pokemon game like this on a home console.
That's correct.
And so this is pretty exciting.
We're witnessing history, Mark. What else we got?
More rumors.
Yes.
This one is pretty wacky.
Yeah.
So we had said that like Ubisoft always pretty much goes full in on Nintendo launches. Zombie U, Red Steel, like they always do
Rayman
something. Legends. One of those
originally was a Wii U exclusive. Quickly was not.
Yeah, one of those generic titles that like yeah.
Rayman Revengeance.
Yeah. And this one is crazy.
Yeah, bonkers.
The rumor, but again from a so far very reliable source, is that it's a Rabbids / Mario mashup RPG.
Who even knows what that means? Now, does that mean Rayman's not in? Because the Rabbids are a spin-off of Rayman, right?
From like the Wii era.
Yeah.
But they have become their own kind of
like the Minions
type thing. Yeah.
But for the same analogy.
And so the rumor goes on to say that it's kind of like XCOM.
Okay.
Like that sort of like tactical RPG type experience.
Wasn't this on my when we were talking about like mashup games or like compilation games that I was saying that I wanted like a Nintendo like Mario Tactics? Didn't I say that?
I can't remember.
That's fine. I don't listen to you when you talk either.
When you're about this moving, I just sit here waiting for it to stop.
just screaming inside your own.
And I'm just thinking of what I'm going to say next.
Right.
And then what your words just like wash over me like wind. You know?
I guess that's a compliment.
It's elusive. But no, so it's like, what it seems like it's going to be is like Rabbids maybe invading like the Mushroom Kingdom or something, because part of the rumor was that the Joy-Con that you're holding will like start to shake, and then like the Rabbid like jumps from your to like simulate the experience, like like the Rabbids are in the machine or something, and they're like leaping from the Joy-Con into like onto the screen.
I love this.
Yeah, I think it sounds like, sure, why not?
Yeah.
I'm in for something weird. And another part of the rumor is that maybe it'll bring back like the Mario RPG branding.
I would love that.
So, I mean, we'll see. Believe it or not, and I bet you'll believe it, the internet didn't love this.
Internet,
get with it.
Internet, look. Open your mind to new ideas / old Super Mario RPG branding. And to the idea that maybe you have to spend $10 to have fun next time you're on the toilet.
Yeah. Ugh. All right. Just to like round these up, Pikmin 4.
Yep.
Not the 3DS game that was showed previously.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that. I don't know how I feel about the Pikmin game on the 3DS.
Like the side-scroller platformer?
It seems weird. But, if it's like a combination, if it's like Kirby meets Lemmings, like maybe that's not so bad.
Yeah.
Okay. I just talked myself into liking it.
Pikmin 4, supposedly, probably not going to be called Pikmin 4, just because they don't want people to feel like they had to have played the other 3 games.
Right. Many of which are essentially unplayable now.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what this is. The Pikmin games have to sell okay, but I've just never thought of them as, like, they keep making them.
Yeah.
And I just don't think of them as great sellers.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're probably right. Was there one on the Wii?
No, there wasn't. They remade the GameCube games so you could use the Wii controls when they were doing that briefly.
Yeah.
But there was not an original one.
Good answer, Mark. Okay.
Xenoblade Chronicles X, also supposedly getting a remake, because that was the Wii U one, and they must have put countless man hours into this game only for it to sell. Like
no one played it.
I think it's great it was made. The Wii, it just wasn't going to sell on the Wii U.
It's not a platform for selling games.
Yeah,
evidently.
and I mean, so just whether that one's true or not, like with all these, we'll see. Again, I think it makes sense. As someone who did not own a Wii U, I don't find any of these remakes to be a bad thing. Like, it'll basically have all of Nintendo's big hitters within the first year, and that's, even though some of them are enhanced remakes or whatever they're going to call them.
Right. Well, so let's talk about that a little bit more, that within the first year window. So these are things that we touched on a little bit, I think, last time. But sounds like Mario's ready for launch. This Mario game that we know nothing about, except that it looks to be 3D and exploration based.
Yep.
A la Mario 64. And the rumor that Zelda is not going to be ready for launch. because they are still working on localization, and then we'll need 4 to 6 months for QA, which puts it, summer at the earliest. And then the last little piece of information. Well, first of all, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about Zelda not making the launch?
I mean, I think it's a little disappointing only because we've been waiting so long for it.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully we don't have to wait long.
Yeah. Well, and also,
death comes quickly, and we could be dead by then.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So it won't matter
be swallowed up in a ball of fire before then. Man, I really just said but also, and then had nothing to follow it with. We just sat there in horrified silence as nothing came out of my mouth.
Waiting for death to take us.
Yes. It'll happen.
On this podcast, you'll be listening, but we will somehow, your girlfriend will upload the episode.
That's right. In her grief. Tears streaming down her face. And the last little piece of rumored software here is that Splatoon, in whatever form it is going to be a pack-in title.
Yeah.
Which I think would be great. I think that's a perfect way to get people involved in the functionality of this thing, making it portable and not portable at the same time.
And multiplayer. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's great. I honestly. One that we didn't have listed here is that Skyrim with the same sort of mod support that PS4 has, which is not all mods, but Bethesda approved ones.
Yeah,
supposedly on the Switch for launch.
That's pretty crazy.
So it's it feels to me basically if this doesn't work, I don't know what else Nintendo can do. Because it really feels like they have their ducks in a row. Yeah. In a way, this first year sounds killer. In a way that I don't in our lifetime has this, has a Nintendo console had this loaded of a launch
of a launch year.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
I mean, has any console? This sounds. Pretty incredible.
If they all come out, and Nintendo has been quiet enough with their releases of games now, and even I don't know. I feel like Nintendo's been sort of dropping games out the last year and a half. That Star Fox was fine if kind of broken. Paper Mario Color Splash is fun but not revolutionary. Paper Mario is bad. I didn't actually play it, but it seems like it's not. And Mario Tennis was a disaster. That it seems like if we believe that Nintendo is doing quality work somewhere, that that's where they're doing it.
Well, and also every game we've pretty much listed, other than Pikmin, most of these are not these are ports, from the Wii U. So it's that's going to be minimal effort.
Yeah.
And outside of the Mario and Zelda, all of Nintendo's other teams, like you're saying, have been quiet. And I doubt they've just been working on these ports.
Yeah.
So my feeling, and whether it's true or not, I guess we'll find out, is that they've been working on other original games or newer games that we haven't heard anything about yet.
Oh man.
So I think potentially, they really, they kind of have to nail this.
Yeah, sure.
So hopefully their efforts are going in the right direction. But so far, I'm excited about everything I've heard about the Switch. There is yet to be anything about the Switch that I'm uh-oh. And let's just get this out of the way right now. Because if it has anything less than 6 hours battery life, the internet.
Oh, that internet
is going to be that's unacceptable.
Wait a minute, Mark. I've got a question.
Great.
How does this podcast go out?
The internet.
Oh
no, we are dependent.
We've been trash talking those guys kind of a lot here.
No, but not our listeners.
Oh, okay.
The others.
Okay,
the others on the internet.
Everyone who doesn't listen to this.
But yeah. Okay, so Nintendo fan projects AM2R and Pokemon Uranium have been removed as nominees for the Best Fan Creation Award at the Game Awards.
Yeah. This is another falls into the category of calm down about it, internet.
Man, that's just like we're just on the internet.
Yeah,
we're taskmasters this week.
We're saying, hey, internet.
We're the parents of the internet.
Internet. No. So AM2R is another Metroid 2 remake. And Pokemon Uranium is a fan project that was basically just a fresh Pokemon game. Nintendo was pretty quick about taking both of those down when they posted on whatever websites were hosting them. And the Game Awards has a category that is best fan project or fan creation. And it is unclear whether they were like, oh, maybe this is a bad idea to be like giving publicity to or somehow endorsing stolen intellectual property, or whether Nintendo did something or asked them to remove them. But it happened, and the internet got kind of mad about it because evidently they are cool things. But I mean, I don't know. I'm firmly in the like you have to protect your IP.
Well,
camp.
I think that Nintendo did the in regards to like the original releases of both these games.
Yeah.
Did Uranium come out? It did come out, right?
I mean, they both came out and then were shut down.
And so I think for that reason, because once something is on the internet, it's on the internet forever.
Sure.
So the fact that Nintendo let them be released at all, I think, was them
kind of
meeting the developers like kind of like halfway, where it's like, we're not approving of this, we're gonna like stop you from distributing it, but
we are gonna stop you from
you from distributing it, right? So it's out there,
right?
Like both these
you
things
gotta
can be
dig
attained,
for them though,
but they can't be attained.
Mm-hmm.
And but Nintendo is still doing, they're still protecting their IP.
Yeah, and I think that's important. And Game Awards, I had never heard of this category before this happened, so I don't know. I don't think it's
and like, who cares about the Game Awards?
Oh man, Mark. Let's see. Great question. No one?
Yeah, like
might be no one.
Who cares? I mean, for these developers, for the fan developers, I think it would be exciting to be part of it because your work is getting recognized.
Yeah.
But like for like best game of the year, like who cares?
Who cares? Although, I mean, the developers of Pokemon Uranium and AM2R have already achieved that great accomplishment of having someone tell them to stop. Like, when I was living in Chicago, I played in a band that only wrote songs about the TV show Lost. We're called Sonic Weapon Fence, and we were amazing.
And you're available on Spotify.
We are available on Spotify.
Are you on Apple Music?
I don't know. I mean, we're on the.
I'm gonna check.
We're on
keep going.
On the iTunes store.
Mm-hmm.
But it was always my sincerest wish that we would get a letter from Disney. I just so badly wanted a cease and desist, like just for them to acknowledge us and be like, "Hey,
right, we know you exist."
Stop that. Yeah, that's all we want is for God to reach down through the clouds and say, "I see you." Now knock it off.
You are on.
We are on.
It is on Apple Music. In fact, when I type Sonic Weapon, it completes it with Fence.
Perfect. We were at one point contacted by a Canadian death metal band named Sonic Weapon, who was very mad that we had stolen their name, and they used a lot of bad language.
Well, they don't appear to be on Apple Music.
Yeah, so, I think history has borne out who the real heroes are there. It's Sonic Weapon Fence. Whew.
Nintendo surprise released Swap Doodle on Thursday last week for the 3DS.
Mm-hmm.
It's a free app that allows users to send notes and drawings to each other. I think there are in-app purchases on the 3DS.
Yeah, that's right.
It's also pretty similar to SwapNote.
Yes.
Have you checked this out?
I downloaded it and went through the very brief tutorial and then was like, oh yeah, I don't have any reason to do this.
Well, I think you also need friends that have 3DSs.
That's right.
And
I think you need friends, period.
It's like, yeah, like you and I could send notes to each other.
Right.
or we could just text.
Right.
So
I think we'll just text.
But that being said, for people who have been using it, people have been making some really cool like creations and stuff that they've been sharing on Twitter, and which I guess they're saving it to their SD cards and then loading it on their computers.
This cannot be.
Well, if somebody knows, if somebody out there who's listening knows,
yes, how you're doing this, how people are sharing things from their 3DSs to anything else, you can email that information to Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. Because frankly, we don't know how to do it. Let's get into new releases. Not that there are.
I mean, it's Thanksgiving week here in the States.
Yeah.
And
good point.
So, well, I guess you're not going to release a bunch of games on like Black Friday. And I was about to do a diversion, find out like why is it called Black Friday? Because it's such an ominous name.
It's because retail employees made that name up.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
And then it was co-opted by the popular culture.
That's so weird that we're like, you know what? We're just going to take this name about how like awful we are as a culture. Yeah. And we're just going to use that as a fun term for like for the Friday after Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Now it's a promotional term.
That sounds about the cycle of things. But today, when this episode's being released,
Tuesday, the 22nd of November,
Dragon Ball Fusions is coming out for the 3DS.
Yep, it'll set you back $29. And looks to be like a role-playing game where you can make your own Dragon Ball characters by fusing them together, because that's something that happens in Dragon Ball, where you're like, oh, you're part Goku and part Piccolo. I just named 2 Dragon Ball Z characters. Yeah, so I don't know. It looks cute. We probably won't be checking it out. Mark, let's move on to the news. Now it's time for a regular segment on Nintendo Cartridge Society. It's time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or a group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So for the duration of one performance of 433, Mark and I will talk about something not Nintendo, therefore fulfilling the contract of the... I love it when you are laughing at my description.
Because I've heard it like 7 times now, and it's never not a little bit confusing.
So let us begin now. The performance of 433 is starting, and I believe that we should talk about Thanksgiving because it is upon us. Mark, what are your thoughts about Thanksgiving? How do you feel about it as a holiday?
I enjoy Thanksgiving.
Do you do you like the meal, or is it just like the idea of getting together and eating something?
I just like an excuse to hang out with people that I like.
Yeah, okay.
So whether it's like last year I wasn't able to, like, I didn't visit family or anything, and so hung out with friends, and this year I'm not hanging out with family. But yeah, Thanksgiving has always just been like...
and we did invite you over.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to let the record show.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, you did.
Sarah and I invited Mark over for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
He said no.
No, that's not what happened. Just life interfered.
Yes, that's right.
But, yeah, like, I'm always up for an excuse to hang out with people that I love and want to spend time with.
How do you feel about the history of Thanksgiving in that it is maybe indirectly celebrating genocide?
Is it?
I'm putting you on blast, Mark.
But is that really what? Like, how is it?
I mean,
because isn't it, if anything, like celebrating like at least a brief moment of understanding and peace between 2 cultures right before we annihilated them systematically?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's so. I think if the argument that it is celebrating genocide carries any weight, it's that it celebrates the relationships between the settlers and the Native Americans, and that relationship has been, primarily genocide.
Yeah, 100% agreed.
Right,
but this happened before all of that.
Yes,
right. Like, so when it was happening, I think it was a moment of like good intentions.
Sure.
And then history bore out
pre-genocide.
History bore out that genocide, basically.
Right. As it is wont.
What about you? How about what are your feelings on Thanksgiving?
I don't know that I'm crazy about it.
Okay.
The last couple of years, not the last couple of years, but since Sarah and I moved out to LA, we've hosted Thanksgiving a couple times. It's always a lot of work and a weird amount of pressure.
Oh, sure.
And we don't eat meat, so like, there's not going to be any turkey. So like you're going into this meal like with strikes against you, because you can't deliver the one thing
you're socially obligated to.
Yeah, we're like, nope, not happening.
What do you do?
Well, we're doing a bunch of stuff. We've got you see there are like gourds on top of my refrigerator right now. Acorn squash. They're going to be stuffed with like stuffing and quinoa and apple stuff.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Yeah, it's going to be a tasty meal. It's just going to have a lot of veggies in it. And there are a lot of things that go on that Thanksgiving plate that aren't turkey. But like, just like any Thanksgiving meal, it's too heavy and too big, and we're gonna feel bad afterwards.
Yeah, I've never had the pressure of like putting a meal or like a get together. I've always been a guest at one of them, and I can totally understand. Like, I'm sure for my mom, Thanksgiving is so stressful.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
I mean, hey, everyone likes going to a party, but no one likes throwing one. But I feel like
there are weird people who like throwing parties,
and I don't like going to parties. So. That's also just making up an aphorism. Like, that's not real.
No, that's fine.
Okay,
that's fine. Everybody's saying that. Have you ever done Black Friday? Like, have you ever like camped out?
No, never have.
I think it's kind of like, I'm not a fan of it bleeding over into actual Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the whole thing. Oh,
well, we'll never know.
Thank you. We will, in fact, never know. We were accompanied this week by Danny Burns and Tom, no last name given. Mark,
I liked that one. That one was nice.
Yeah,
that 433.
Yeah, it was in a small like practice room space at a conservatory. It looked like it was intimate.
Perfect for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, so Mark, let's move into our topic. So we're going to be putting together, Mark, we've been tasked. Okay, Nintendo has called us up. And it is the ghost of Satoru Iwata. And he said, Mark and Patrick.
Poor taste. No, I'm shutting this down.
Oh, no.
No, I'm shutting this down.
Come on.
Poor taste. Boo.
Okay, whose ghost is it then?
I don't know. Who's the mean guy that was before?
Kimishima? No, that's the current?
No, yeah, the mean one. That
yeah, from way back.
Yeah.
Okay, so his ghost appears and says, Patrick and Mark, I need you to come up with 30 new NES games for the NES Classic Volume 2. That's it. And we are tasked with this. We have to come up with a machine that has 30 games that have not been used yet on the NES Classic for Volume 2. Now, you and I set out to make lists separately. My list has like 40 games on it. Yours has 7.
Look, I mean, pretty much everything I want to play on the NES. Honestly, the NES Classic Edition has been, in my experience with the NES, I'm like, oh yeah, this is pretty much every game I would want to play. There are a lot of... The NES is primitive.
Yeah.
There are a lot of not very good games on the NES. We've talked about before how I think like the Super Nintendo is amazing.
Yeah.
Because it still had that... I don't know what you'd want to call it. Like, it benefits from like the small scale, like a small team could do a lot of, but the technology is so much better than the NES.
Right, but also
games
not
are so much better.
It's not so much bigger. It's not so much bigger and so much like there's still the limitations on it that breed like interesting invention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like pretty much the current, and for me the current NES Classic. Also, how are you able to play so many games?
How was I able to play so many games?
Yeah, like to have such an exhaustive list, because like I didn't have that many NES. I was not exposed to that many NES games because we just didn't own that many.
Yeah. So I mean, we didn't own that many, but I feel like everyone I was friends with had an NES, and we all had different libraries. Sure, we all had Super Mario Brothers 3.
Sure.
And there's lots of overlap, but we did so much. Like, oh, Ryan bought Battletoads. Now no one else needs to buy Battletoads. Number one on my list. But let's go through your list first. I'll ask you about the games that don't appear on my list, and we'll talk our way through all of your list, and I guess all through all of my list, and then see how we're doing.
Well, I think both of our lists are very specific to ourselves. Although there is actually surprising amount of crossover. Like some games we've never talked about, we both have on our list. So the first one I have on here.
Oh, hold on.
Go ahead.
It should be noted that I think you did this too, but I threw any considerations about licensing out the window.
Oh yeah, or like difficulty to get, or like
I said if I want it, I get it.
Yeah. And my list is in no particular order. It's not like this is my most wanted game.
So the number one most wanted game.
No, I went through a list of like on Wikipedia.
It does appear to be alphabetical.
And I was just like, oh right, that one. The first one on there is this game called Adventures in the Magic Kingdom. It's a Capcom game from 1990.
Can you I don't have any memory of this game.
Yeah, and this is what I'm saying, where it's like specific to me. Like I don't know how many people do. Like I've always been a big theme park person, specifically like Disney theme parks especially. And this game is a licensed game, and you play as just like a guy, and you're in the Magic Kingdom, which is at Walt Disney World. It's like the castle park in Walt Disney World. And then there's like 4 or 5 different mini games that are based on the different attractions. So there's like a Pirates of the Caribbean like level, and they're usually like platforming.
Do the pirates eat the tourists?
You're thinking of Jurassic Park.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
There is a Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, which is like a minecart level. And so there's just like these different like mini games.
Yeah.
And I think you're like collecting a key or something from each one in order to like trigger the 3 o'clock parade or something like that. It's very low stakes.
Right.
But I
want to see that parade.
But I loved Disney and like Disneyland so much as a kid that it was just so much fun for me to have like a video game that was set in that like theme park basically.
Yeah.
And so in like people my age who are like fans of Disney like have fond memories of this game, but I don't know
if it's good.
Yeah, I mean I don't even know if it's sold well.
Well, let's I mean, we're not going to go through and be like, these games are on it, these games aren't on it. We ain't afraid of no ghost, right? But I say if we're going to get Disney involved and like get the Disney licenses firing, let's do as many of them as we can, right? Because between us, we've got a couple other Disney games. So I think let's run down the Disney. I think there are 3 more on our combined lists.
Well, one that I was surprised that we both had on our list was Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers.
What a great game.
Which was another Capcom game from 1990. It's Capcom and Disney had a really chummy relationship for a while. This is just a platformer.
But it's 2-player simultaneous.
Yeah.
Where one plays Chip and the other plays Dale. They play identically. But you can like pick each other up and throw each other, and it's got a Mario 3 style overworld map. And like the bosses are interesting, and the sprites are all like big and look good. It's a very fun game.
Yeah, it's a great game.
and I'd love an opportunity to play it again. And that's one of the things, obviously this is where it becomes fantasy because it seems like those would be harder licenses to get back. But for that reason, we don't see these games on other platforms or on Virtual Console or anything. Along that same line, on my list is DuckTales, which had a remake recently and then was released on everything. But man, that remake is chatty, and it introduces a lot of weird story elements. And a lot of the music all of the music is re-recorded from really cool bleeps and bloops. That moon music, the moon level music from DuckTales on the NES is amazing, and it's fine in the remake.
The remake, which happens fairly often with remakes, honestly, just kind of stripped the charm from the game. And honestly, I don't even think mechanically it was as good.
Yeah, it might not have been as tight. But yeah, I mean that game's almost another Mega Man game. It's so tight and good. And then the fourth Disney game, or the third one on my list, is Mickey Mousecapades.
No, I don't remember this game.
So Mickey Mousecapades, you play as Mickey Mouse. Mickey the Mouse. Saying this making sense? And you're traveling through a fun house, basically. And you have to, you have to find keys and travel throughout it. But you jump and you throw stars. In each level, you can rescue Minnie, and she also throws stars. And so she just like trails behind you. It's really hard. It's a super hard game, and maybe only had like 4 levels, but each level was enormous.
Capcom also?
I don't remember, but it just like each level is like the sprawling, like I was about to say chore to get through, but like each one is its own adventure in and of itself.
Did you do your list from memory?
I did a lot of it from memory, and
that's super impressive.
And then went back and like was like, what am I missing here? I'm gonna go back and find stuff. So I think those for me are like the 4 big Disney games that from the NES era that I would like to see back on our fantasy system here.
Another one that we both have on our list is Castlevania 3: Dracula's Curse.
Kind of a crime it's not on.
So weird.
Because it's easily better than the first 2 combined.
Yeah. A Konami game from 1990. So interesting that, I mean, I guess not really, it happens a lot, but that so many of the games on our list this time are from the later, like towards the end of the NES's life. But yeah, what a great game, and such a bummer that it's not on. I mean, give the boot to one of the like shoot 'em ups.
Oh yeah,
and throw Castlevania 3 on there.
Take Balloon Fight out of there.
Ice Climbers.
Yeah, I mean, I get that they're like Nintendo royalty, but like, get out of here! Get out of here!
Another one on both of our lists is Dragon Warrior 3.
I was generous with my Dragon Warrior.
You put 1, 3, and 4 on there. 4 is a great game as well. I 1 is kind of like Final Fantasy 1, where the bones of it are there, but I don't think it's actually that much fun to play.
So I think
the NES version,
the one of the big reasons that I had it on my list was because this is one of those games that everyone I knew growing up had a copy of, because it came free with Nintendo Power.
Oh, sure.
So like, even if it's not the best representative of the series, it feels so like quintessentially like 1980s Nintendo experience. So yeah, 1, 3, and 4 make my list. And admittedly, that's a lot of Dragon Warrior.
Well, as somebody who loves Dragon Quest, I would be totally okay with that. I mean, this would be so many hours of play. But yeah, if I had to narrow it down to one, I think Dragon Quest 3 or Dragon Warrior 3, whichever, whatever you want to.
Why did that happen?
There was another game in
called Dragon Quest in
or
the States?
something like, something. There was like a trademark reason that it was called Dragon Warrior here. But yeah, Dragon Quest 3 is so cool, and like the job system is so great.
Mm-hmm.
So basically the way it works is halfway through the game you get the ability to change your class. So what it allows you to do is like, okay, for like I'm gonna have one player play as like a cleric for half the game, or like a mage or something. So they learn all these spells, and then halfway through they like lose half of their like levels, basically. Like they if I choose for them to do so, but they remember all of these spells, and then I can also build them up as like a warrior or like a fighter. So it's like, oh, I have like a mage fighter character. Like it's such a cool job system.
And that seems so like almost non-remarkable now, but like given the RPG landscape is
well, and it still
nuts.
is fun. Like, and the story's great. Like Dragon Quest 3, that would be my like 4 is great too, but like 3 would be my hands down. Like, oh, if I were
if I could only get one.
If the ghost told me I could only do one, that's the one I would choose. A few of these are games like the next two are games that I have never played, and I would like to, and so this would be an opportunity. One is Little Samson, which was a Taito game from 1992, and it's apparently
a side-scrolly adventure.
Yeah, it's you play as like 4 different characters, and it's apparently like one of the best games on the NES, and also basically impossible to get.
See, I've never played Little Samson.
Yeah,
either,
I haven't either.
So, it makes it tough to recommend, but
I'm doing on reputation only.
Perfect.
You know, it would be such. I think like rights are impossible.
Yeah.
But as a dream, this would be on there. And the other one is Zoda's Revenge: Star Tropics 2, which was released in 1994.
It's the last game that came out on the NES.
I think Wario's Woods came out after, but I mean, and this is I may be misremembering,
you might be right.
But I think that one was like cross generation. It was Wario's Woods was on NES and SNES. I think Star Tropics 2 was the last NES only game that Nintendo released in 1994.
It's so late.
The Super Nintendo been out for 3 years.
Star Tropics 2 also on my list.
Yeah, I've never played it before, and for that reason, I think it would be. I hope it would be on there.
I don't love it as much as the original Star Tropics, but it has as much fun with its ideas as the original Star Tropics, and has almost that like Earthboundian sense of like fun and humor. Just having a lot of fun at the expense of the settings. You travel through time in the game. It's super fun and really good.
The last one that is on my list of 7,
right? An exhaustive list.
Is Maniac Mansion.
Yeah,
which that I've never played the PC version, like the DOS version. I've only ever played the NES, like the kind of like censored NES version where you can't put the hamster in the microwave and you can't and like the granny character is like less sexually suggestive than she is in the PC version.
So who needs it? Well, so this is one that I thought about putting on my list, but ultimately didn't because it's available on so many other platforms now.
Yeah, unlike Galaga.
Well, okay, fine. I wouldn't have put Galaga on the first.
Yeah, nope. We are in agreement on that too.
Yeah, but it would be a cool piece of like Nintendo history to have on a thing.
So yeah, that's pretty much. I mean, the games I've listed here includes 2 games I've never played. You know,
but you want to.
But
I
want to play.
Yeah.
But I think it also just shows kind of how. I'm sure we rented some other like NES games, but I did not have the experience that I think a lot of kids had, where their friend group had NESs and they were like exchanging games and like on the playground talking about this kind of stuff. Mine was much more like, oh, whatever my parents purchased for me was what I played, and so I
just play Super Mario Brothers 3.
Yeah, again, like you know, and like so my and as I got older, I was able to like go back and play some of the games that I had missed. But looking at I was looking at your list a little bit, and a lot of these games I'm like, I have no idea what this is. So I'm excited to go through it.
Let's dive into my list. I already teased this, but my number one has to be on this machine is Battletoads. A game so punishingly difficult. I've played it. I could not estimate the number of hours I played this game and have still never beaten it. In college,
Go ahead.
In college, my buddy Al and I made a goal of like let's learn Battletoads, and I had played it a bunch as a kid and like knew most of the game. And in college, we're like, all right, we're going to recommit to like, learning the speeder bike level and developing strategies for like where do you farm for extra lives. And we when you play the game 2-player, it's like it's a detriment because it's simultaneous. And if you're in one of those sections where there are like automatic deaths, if one of you dies, you both go back to the beginning. So that's the more challenging way to play is to play in the game 2-player.
Also impossible to beat that way, right?
That's correct. Level 11, there's a glitch where the second player can't actually like turn around. You're on a unicycle that's like clinging to the wall, and you're just running away from like a pulsating blob thing. And the second player literally can't move, like just gets destroyed.
Have you? I think at this last Awesome Games Done Quick or Summer Games Done Quick, there was a gentleman who beat Battletoads blindfolded or like with his eyes closed.
So I've seen video of a player trying to do Battletoads blindfolded, and I was not impressed. So if there's a great video of it, I would like to see.
I think it's just a cool accomplishment.
I know. I mean, that's if someone actually does it. Well, I was watching this. I mean, I was exchanging texts with this friend of mine from college when I found this blindfold run of Battletoads, and we're like watching it in real time together and being like, this guy's not even beating this speeder bike level. What's going on?
Well, I'll find the link for the one from I think it was Awesome Games Done Quick.
Just this last year, or
the 2016, maybe Summer Games Done Quick, and I'll swap doodle it to you.
Okay, thank you. So Battletoads goes on the list for me for sure. And next are the 3 Dragon Warrior games that we've already mentioned. Then here's the obligatory Wario's Woods mention for this episode. Mark, have you played Wario's Woods before?
No, I don't really like puzzle games.
Okay, I do, and I like it a lot.
What's its deal?
What's its deal? So it plays a lot like Dr. Mario or Tetris, but instead of manipulating the blocks that are falling, you are Toad, who's like running around on the ground and like climbing up the blocks that have already fallen on the ground. You are lining up enemies and bombs, and they have to be of the same color, and then they wipe each other out. It's like 3 or 4 of them lined up. But it's just such a novel hook that you're not controlling anything as it falls. You are like the agent at the bottom, moving things around and like picking them up. And I don't know, it's very interesting and very intricate and gets crazy hard real fast.
So is Toadens like caught in Wario's like hellscape? Like,
sorry, so you're asking what the story of Wario's Woods is?
What's the premise? Sell me on it.
Okay, so the premise, I have been. The premise is you play as Toad, a stalwart Toad.
But what's Toad doing there?
He's rearranging. First of all, you only fight Wario every 5 levels. In the in-between levels, it's a Birdo throwing things down.
So are you in Wario's realm? Like, are these Warios, like, is Wario possessing these woods? Why is it called Wario's Woods?
Because he's the bad guy. Why is it called Yoshi's Cookie?
Because
Because what?
Fair point.
You don't know.
No, fair point.
Anyway, I like the game. Next on my list was Star Tropics 2, Zoda's Revenge. Great. The next piece of mine requires a little bit of a caveat, and one that I believe to be impossible. I would want the next NES Classic to come with an NES Zapper, the gun. And I think it's impossible because light guns don't work on non-CRT TVs.
Yeah, that's correct.
But this is a magical fantasy realm where all things are possible in Christ. And I want the Zapper.
I considered putting it on there because I also considered putting on like World Class Track Meet.
Mm-hmm.
but I omitted both of them because like the peripheral problem.
So this was one where I was thinking because it would be like the second generation of it, that it would need to have some sort of hardware thing to distinguish itself. And so this one would come with a zapper.
I like the idea of also like a tiny power pad that like
you just with your fingers?
like 2 fingers would like go back and forth on like those little like finger skateboards.
Yeah. I like that. So the 3 games, I just took like the 3 main Zapper games: Duck Hunt, Hogan's Alley, and Wild Gunman.
No, explain Hogan's Alley to me.
So Hogan's Alley is like it's like the police training thing where like it has cardboard cutouts of like gangsters, and you shoot at them and while avoiding the mother with the baby, or like the old man.
And does it like it's like Duck Hunt where every level gets more?
Yeah, it's like Duck Hunt
complex?
in that it has 2 modes. One is just like a lineup when like they turn around and you just have to like pew, pew, shoot at them. And then another one that's more it's more like an environment, so they like come out from behind doors and in windows and stuff.
Now, did you actually enjoy this game?
Hogan's Alley?
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
Hogan's Alley and Duck Hunt, I like both those games. I think they're both probably like both of those games aren't games that I would want to buy individually.
Yeah, because I like we had Duck Hunt and it was perfect thrown in with like 2 other games on a cartridge because by itself. But again, I don't really like arcade style games. But it's just like, oh, it's thin. Yeah. Even as a kid, I was like, this.
Like, oh, is this all there is?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel that way about all 3 of these games, but they're more appealing to me than like the Gradius and.
100%.
You know, so.
Wild Gunman, is that just like a quick draw game?
So Wild Gunman, I don't actually know that much about. I know I've played it, and I know that it's got the shooting the can, like where you're trying to keep the can in the air, and then maybe just like a quick draw game. So it's each one of these games is basically like a 2 mini game collection.
What's the game that Marty McFly plays in Back to the Future 2? Is that Wild Gunman?
In Back to the Future 2.
And like he goes, to the diner.
Yeah, and Elijah Wood is there.
I
don't know what he's playing.
Well, if somebody does know, where can they?
Oh yeah, they could write in via electronic mail to our electronic
mailbox.
Yes, which can be accessed by typing in Nintendo Cartridge Society
at gmail.com.
Moving on from the light gun games, which are impossible. I've got DuckTales and Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, which we've already discussed. And then Mega Man. I know Mega Man 2 is on the NES Classic. I prefer 3 to 2. It's a meatier game. It just has more stuff. So I would put that on there. I like the Mega Man series enough that I could put 1, 3, 4, 5, 6 on here. But, they exist in the Legacy Collection. And, it's kind of just putting Mega Man 3 on there as like I love that game. So I would put it on there. Even though it's available in other formats. Castlevania 3 is my next pick, which we already talked about. Next, it's another licensed game, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, The Manhattan Project. Now, I debated what exactly Ninja Turtle-wise to include on this thing, because I had and played and loved all 3 of these games. But the first one does not age well, is punishingly difficult in like the second level.
Did they do a remake of this one too?
No, not of this one.
Okay.
So there was the remake of Turtles in Time, which is like the 4th Turtles game. And that's on the Super Nintendo and on the Genesis. But yeah, the Manhattan Project, so Turtles 2 was the NES port of the arcade game, and Manhattan Project was basically like a sequel to that, and just had a lot of like neat looking bosses. The story was cool. The island of Manhattan gets raised out of the ocean and is like hovering in the air. I don't know, it's cool stuff.
Is Ultron threatening to
drop it? That's right. And then Thor and the Vision come in and save the day, and the Turtles are like, hey, what are we supposed to do? We're just ninjas and teenagers to boot.
Yeah, we can't drive.
Yeah, they can't even drive. This is something that we don't talk about enough where the Ninja Turtles are concerned.
Well, I guess we don't know how old of teenagers they are.
That's a fair point. 17-year-olds, they can drive.
They can drive.
Not very well, though.
Oh, no kidding.
Get off my roads, kids. Next on my list is Skate or Die. Just a fun skate game. You ever play Skate or Die?
No.
It actually, when you were describing Adventures in the Magic Kingdom, it's a lot like that, where there are just like a bunch of different like skating mini games. One being like a side scrolling just like race. Another one being like a half pipe that you skate on and do tricks. Just a cool, fun game, and the only skateboarding game I've ever liked. So that's why I put it on here. Baseball and volleyball and ice hockey. All original NES, like black box.
Baseball was a launch title, right?
Yeah, and these other ones either. Oh yeah, baseball was a launch title. And volleyball and ice hockey came shortly thereafter.
Wait, I'm sorry. Like, I was letting your words wash over me, and I'm catching up now.
Yeah.
The only skateboarding game you've ever liked is Skate or Die. You like none of the
Tony Hawk games have done it for me. Yeah.
All right.
I mean, look.
No, I respect you as a person and as a friend. So
thank you.
I respect your opinion. I'm not gonna try to like argue.
Look, I know Darth Maul
it.
is in them, and that's cool. I mean, it does seem like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater should be like right up my alley. It's got like the exact music I was listening to at that age, and now. But yeah, they just didn't speak to me for whatever reason.
Sure.
There's a ninja game called Wrath of the Black Manta.
Yeah, no idea.
This game is nuts. You're a ninja. You gain ninja powers as the game progresses. I think maybe you unlock them by like earning points. It's a side scroll. It's fun.
That one, like, not to poo-poo any of your choices, but just like games like Wrath of the Black Manta, do you remember them being good games, or are you putting them on here because of like
because
your memory of them?
Yeah. I think it's a mix of both. I think the game is flawed, but it's the way it introduced the combination of like experience and the character growing in like a side-scrolling action game is unique, especially for the time. We were talking about how like Dragon Warrior has these interesting ways to grow your characters, and that seems more at home in an RPG. This is basically the first time I remember encountering an action game with RPG elements, I guess is what I'm saying. So does it really need to be on there? Maybe not. But I liked it. Speaking of, doesn't need to be on there, maybe not, but I liked it. Ninja Gaiden 2. The first one is on the NES Classic. I like the second as well, so I would put that on there.
I've never beaten Ninja Gaiden.
Oh, that's because it's very hard.
Yeah.
I was actually just playing the first one earlier before you came over. And I can get to the third level, and then I get too frustrated, and then I stop. Which is probably what I would do with the second game.
Do you think you were better at them as a kid?
I mean, I think I was more patient, that I would die and go again and again and again, and sometimes I would get lucky. But I don't think I was better at the game. We're gonna try to fire through a few of these here because I feel like we're taking a long time on mine. I say RC Pro-Am. It's radio control cars. It's like a top-down perspective racing. It's just a fun game. The Bucky O'Hare. Are you familiar with Bucky O'Hare?
He's a rabbit with attitude, right?
Yeah, he's a green space rabbit with attitude. Capcom made a Bucky O'Hare game that is almost exactly a Mega Man game. It very much like DuckTales is, except he plays exactly like Mega Man.
Because this is a licensed game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that game's on my list for that reason. Basically, I just want to put Mega Man clones on this thing.
Yeah, I mean, I would be interested in the Bucky O'Hare game.
I already said ice hockey. I just lumped it up with the rest of the sports games there. Kung Fu, I would put on here because it's one of the if not launch window games that I don't know very well, but I feel like is a part of the Nintendo identity. It maybe doesn't need to be on here. Marble Madness. I don't know why there aren't Marble Madness games on every machine. You just play a marble like rolling down a course. It's neat.
Yeah, I wonder why there aren't more, like even on like mobile or something.
Yeah, it seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Marble Madness. Metal Gear. Mark, Metal Gear.
Yeah, that's a weird omission.
Yeah, especially because there are Konami games on this thing. It would be cool to have a place to play Metal Gear. Mickey Mousecapades, I already said when we were talking about Disney. Pinball, the original NES Pinball. This is a game that I know is not great. But it was just a basic like pinball machine, and you could hit the ball into an area where Mario just like walks around with a platform and you control. Did you ever play this game?
No, I never did.
All right, I'll stop talking about
it. Well, no, I'm interested because I feel like virtual pinball games in general are a hard sell for me.
Yeah. This won't change your mind.
Okay, great.
It has literally one table, and it's not even a particularly active table, but this is one I think that's on there for me, where I'm just like, oh, I have strong memories of playing this game to death. Adventure Island 2, love that dumb little caveman guy. And I think there was also a third. The third one might be better. I just remember spending a lot of time with 2. Rad Racer. This is a Square developed racing game, and you could push select to put it into 3D mode.
Whoa.
So if you had red and blue glasses, like 3D glasses, the game would display in 3D.
Huh.
So I would also insist that along with the Zapper, it came with a pair of red and blue 3D glasses.
Tiny?
No, yes, very tiny. So you need to hold them like opera glasses. And then my last pick is a game called Metal Storm, where you played a robot that could control gravity. It was a side-scrolling game where you could reverse the gravity at any point, so that the floor became the ceiling and the ceiling became the floor.
Oh, I have not played this game, but my friend had it. Yeah. And it is, I remember it being awesome.
Yeah. And so this is one that I just have memories of it being awesome. And maybe I'm not, I never owned it. I'm not even sure I rented it a second time. But hey, Mark, if we remember things as awesome, like maybe we should go back and revisit them.
Well, and let's just remember that even if a couple of these games turned out to be bad, they put Galaga on the original
Galaga.
And then what was the other like shooter that we were like, oh my gosh, it's just Galaga but worse.
It's like Galactotron.
Yeah. Galaxia.
I don't know, man.
Somebody has to like these games. And I'm happy for them. I'm happy they're on there. But they're just filler for me.
You don't have to be happy for everyone, Mark.
No, but I am. I'm happy they're on there. Because, I mean, honestly, I don't like any of the Donkey Kong games, or like the arcade Donkey Kong, or Donkey Kong Jr. Like, I just don't care. But I'm not like games. I know, and I'm not like, so I'm not mad that they're on there.
Well, you don't need to be mad at me that they're on there, Mark.
I'm not. That's what I'm saying. Like, again, for me, my Nintendo NES experience was so much of it was just like Mario.
Yeah,
and that the fact that the 3 Mario games are like, that's enough for me with the Classic Edition.
Yeah,
just for it to be a dedicated Mario machine.
The Classic Edition, I think it hits all. It does it. Like, it does what it needs to do. This is just our sequel. We were tasked by a ghost of Nintendo Past.
Yeah, that's not our fault.
No, it's a
baseball-loving ghost came.
Right, and then just made us answer that question. And that's that. Mark, let's move out of this segment. I think we're going to skip listener reader mail for this week.
Okay.
But I will put out I will implore our listeners, if you have a question, I mean, like, write into us. It'll help us have a conversation, and you're part of the show.
Yeah, and also, I would, if you have games from the NES that we didn't mention, that you would like to see in the future on a potential NES Classic Edition.
Yeah, what did we miss?
Yeah, what did we miss?
Because we certainly missed something.
So where would they send that?
They would send any of that to Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. But for real, like it helps us if you send in questions. And I know you're listening and you're like, I listen to this show, but I haven't sent in any questions. I'm lazy and I don't care how the show goes.
No.
Is that not how we want to paint them?
No. They are not the others of the internet.
That's right.
They are the them of the internet.
They're the them?
The us?
The us. You're the us.
You're the us, and we're the you.
Right. And so you as us should send us some questions, and I think then we can all have a good time and love each other like that. So that's going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge.
Oh, wait.
What?
We're down to precious few weeks until M. Night Shyamalan's Split comes out.
Oh, okay.
And
you're right to stop me for this.
I need these spoilers. So if you're like, I have no intention of sending a listener reader question in, but
I do have these spoilers.
Please
send them in. You can follow us on Twitter. We'll follow you back. You can DM them to us.
Oh yeah.
Or on Facebook.
Yeah.
You can send a message to us that way, probably.
I don't know.
How does Facebook work?
I don't know. Patrick will figure it out, and he'll he'll send it to me, whatever that thing is called.
Oh yeah, swap doodle.
He'll swap doodle it to me.
I'll swap doodle it to Mark. Or you can swap doodle. Mark, what's your? Do you know your 3DS handle off the top of your head?
No, I just know my nickname.
Does that? Can we be friends that way?
I genuinely don't know.
Do you want to share your?
I mean, it's just Moose.
Just Moose?
Yeah.
Moose?
Yeah.
So mine is Just Food for Dogs. It's my handle.
So, yeah.
You can swap doodle all of that to us and be a part of ruining this movie for Mark.
Yeah, you're not ruining it for me. I'm asking for this information. You'd be ruining it for Patrick if he reads it before I do.
Yeah, I don't believe in spoilers, so...
What does that mean?
Don't test me on it. But like,
sounds like you do believe in spoilers.
No.
And you're just trying to play cool.
No, I first of all am very cool. Second of all, no. If someone is talking about something that I haven't seen but I plan on seeing, I'm not going to make them stop talking about it. If someone is going out of their way to and is intentionally trying to ruin my experience of something, I'll get mad about it. But for the most part, I don't believe in spoilers.
Yeah, I don't care about spoilers. I feel like if knowing about something beforehand ruins my experience, then it's not very good to begin with.
The experience wasn't very good. That's right.
Westworld. I'm talking about Westworld.
Which I haven't seen, but would be happy to hang out as other people talk about it, which must be true because I've been living in a world where Westworld exists and I haven't been watching it. And all anyone does is want to talk about Westworld. I'm not mad about it.
Sounds like you're a little mad about it.
That's going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter at NinCart Society and check out the Facebook page, which, of course, is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. If you have a second, we would love for you to rate, review us on iTunes, subscribe as well. While you're there, you can check out other podcasts on the What's a Creative Podcast Network. Lots of good stuff there. New shows starting all the time. The Parrot Head podcast just started. Our founder and
Patrick McDonald.
That's right. Talk about Jimmy Buffett. So hilarious. And if you like Mark and Mine's opinions on stuff, we also write about comic books on retconpunch.com. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can find 8-Bit Betty's music on 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying watch out for that internet, and thanks for listening.
What's a Creative Podcast Network?